We are live here in Studio West, and I'm so thankful that Stephen Nicholas is producing the CHGO White Sox show.
I'm back.
He's so happy to be here, and he's radiating with joy to still be here after 3 p.m. You ready?
Here after 3 p.m. every day. The CHGO White Sox podcast starts right now.
Welcome into the CHGO White Sox podcast, coming to you live from Studio West here in the West Loop of Chicago, here in our CHGO studios. I'm your host, Sean Anderson, being produced today by Stephen Nicholas. Sarah says hello. You do like 50 impressions of everyone that works here.
Mm-hmm. I should have just done the intro, and you could have just moved your mouth because I have it memorized still.
It's true.
Yeah.
Nothing has changed. I'm a one-trick pony. Welcome into the CHGO White Sox podcast. If you have any thoughts, let us know. Our guy, Fat Hipster's here. Hey, we did get $100 from Anthony K's brother in the Day of Giving for Big Brothers, Big Sisters of America. We got $20 from the Fat Hipster. So part of what we've created and built here is because of the Fat Hipster.
Well, thank you, Fat Hipster. And this was Anthony K's real brother?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
He follows me on Twitter.
That's awesome. Okay.
The news broke when I was sitting down to eat breakfast with my wife. And I said, okay, I need 5 minutes to just go tweet out some garbage. And I tweeted, gotta have breakfast. My wife isn't moved about Anthony K. And his brother responded like a side face emoji, and being like, hey, and then I bust tossed my wife, being like, she doesn't know baseball. It's not my fault. But anyways, we're not talking about that. What we're talking about today, we were talking about the current look of the Chicago White Sox. We'll then talk about Ramón Urías, a possible free agent. I'm going to make me predict the next free agent the White Sox sign. They just signed Anthony K. I've already talked to you about Josh Bell. I've talked to you about Randall Grichuk, right? Let's bring a new name in here. Haven't talked much about Ramón Urías. I think I can build a case for it, so we'll talk about that. And then who would be the next pitcher? I've thrown out some names. I don't think they're going to go reunite with Quintana. If they were going to spend $6 million on a pitcher, they just did. So I don't think we're going to see that addition. I do think they'll likely add some bullpen arm. To what level, that's still yet to be determined. And then do they still need a starter? And will that starter even look pretty? I know some people threw out the idea of Dustin May, but if Dustin May's intriguing to you, I think Dustin May's intriguing to 29 other teams. Some of them are contending, and that could probably add May to their rotation now. So May seems a little bit too out of our price range. So we'll get serious about options. Before we get into this, I want to share a fun little graph because I forgot about this. And we have it now. It's the Colson one. This is from Pitcher List. Nick Pollock and his team do a fantastic job. I believe Kyle Bland does the hitter stats, Bland Analytics. So congrats to Pitcher List. They do fantastic work. And what you're seeing on your screen and what I'm going to try now to describe to audio listeners is 5 separate categories. And there's a dotted line across the 100 line. That would be average, right? These are all plus stats. So 100 would be MLB average or above. So aggression plus, Colson Montgomery is the leader out of this. And this is comparing Colson Montgomery's 2025 to Franmil Reyes' 2021, to Michael Toglia's 2024, to Mark Vientos' 2024, to Giancarlo Stanton's 2024, to Adolis Garcia's 2023. Wow, what intriguing names. But you can see Colson a little bit more aggressive than any of those other players were, which is a little bit concerning. Franmil Reyes was a fairly aggressive player, and Colson has him beat by a fair amount. Colson above the MLB average for aggression. His in-zone decision values are not the worst, but I think, 4th worst? You could see Adolis Garcia above average, everyone else below average. Mark Vientos a little bit below average there in 2024, but Colson comparing to Franmil Reyes closely in his in-zone decision value. But where Colson shines above average is not swinging at pitches outside of the zone. His out-of-the-zone decision value is a plus, similar to Franmil Reyes. Michael Toglia also above that number, but it's better than Vientos' number. It's better than Stanton's number. It's better than Garcia's number. And the one that was surprising to me was Colson isn't dead last in contact. And I think that's what might be able to save him. Franmil Reyes, there's a pretty big dip there between Montgomery and Reyes. You could see that Toglia is a little bit under Montgomery as well. Vientos just slightly lower than him. Adolis Garcia and Colson are nearly neck and neck. Stanton, the reason why he's been around for so long, he is able to make contact, and you can obviously see his power is well above everybody else. But Colson's there with Franmil Reyes. And at the end of the day, Garcia's an outfielder. Stanton's a DH/former outfielder. Franmil Reyes is a former outfielder/DH. Toglia is a first baseman, and he's not hitting enough to be a first baseman. And then the other name there, I'm blanking on, Vientos. Vientos is a third baseman. Struggled a little bit, but found his pop. Colson's the only shortstop. Like there are infielders on that list, but they're both corners. Colson, if he's able to be a Franmil Reyes, could be incredibly, incredibly productive as long as he's above average at shortstop. You can have a shortstop strike out 200 times if you kind of hit 30 homers. Again, he was the third best. He's the third best season. Last year was the third best season in CHGO White Sox history. Does that surprise you?
Wow. Now I want to guess the first two.
Yeah, you can name them.
Luis Robert.
In 2023.
And Jose Abreu.
In 2022.
Yeah, okay.
Everyone else by B-WAR was worse than Colson.
What that graph tells me is that Colson Montgomery is also the best pound-for-pound power hitter, right?
Out of that graph? Out of that graph?
Yeah.
Why do you take that away? Let me see. Am I missing something? No.
I'm comparing Giancarlo, bigger guy, right?
Right.
Franmil, bigger guy. Let me get the
but you're saying the fact that he's smaller than these guys?
Yeah.
Toglia is fairly small. Toglia isn't I think Toglia is shorter than Colson. Vientos, I think, is probably a little bit similar height-wise, but yeah, Vientos is a little bit more solid than Colson. Stanton's a little, obviously, more solid. Franmil's solid. And Garcia's built I don't think I could say that. We're technically not on fast.
Yeah, you could say whatever.
Oh, then he's built like a brick shit house.
Okay.
So
I did look it up. Colson's listed at 230. I wouldn't have guessed that, which is actually 4 pounds more than Toglia.
Okay. But how tall is Toglia? Is he 6'4"?
Let's see.
Because that's the thing. Colson's
6'5".
Oh, okay. All right. So I'm just off on Toglia. But yeah, Colson's just tall. That's the thing too, is he's 230, but he looks lanky. He could possibly add more power to that frame. I don't know if that's necessarily what you want, as he is a shortstop. You do want him to have great range of motion. Mm-hmm. That's going to decline with age anyway. So how long can he realistically be a shortstop? I'm unsure. But for 2026, that's your shortstop. Well, I don't think there's any second guessing it.
Ryan K. Lamb in the chat here says a shortstop for now. I still think he'll long-term will be playing another position. And yeah, I see 230 and you get to that 6'4", 6'5" range. I start thinking first base.
Yeah.
I know they've tried him a little bit at third. That could also be a possibility. But yeah, those measurables are interesting. And then you see the power that actually plays into those other positions too.
It depends on how replicable the power is. Is he going to hit 25 homers this year? Because him even approaching 25 homers was absurd in 72 games. Can he in 162 games, when the book's been out on him, teams are, attacking him a little bit more thoughtfully, will he be able to reproduce that? Because, even if he's under performing at shortstop, even if he was where Tim was, where Tim was around a -1 out above average defender at his best. If he's hitting 35 homers, he could still stay at shortstop. If he's just an average shortstop, that power can really just set him apart at that position. Do you know, Steven, we'll test your brain. You're Mr. Football, you're Mr. Hockey.
All right, let's hear it.
Formerly Mr. Baseball. There are 2 shortstops in the history of Major League Baseball that have hit 40 home runs at that position. Can you name them?
Did Miguel Tejada do it?
No, that's a crazy guess. I like that.
Why is that a crazy guess?
Well, I wasn't gonna think you would guess Miguel Tejada. He's not a Hall of Famer. He won an MVP, so I mean it's not the worst guess. I'm not saying it's a bad guess.
I'm drawing
34,
blank.
34, 31, 30.
I'm drawing blank on the guy's last name. JJ Hardy?
JJ Hardy? No.
No, I feel like he had a big
So
one
think
too.
like Hall of Famers and not like JJ Hardy.
I'm in football mode. You're gonna have to tell me this time.
Do you pick up the hint that I'm giving you?
You're pointing.
Look at the screen. Yeah, who's right? Who am I pointing at with my point?
Okay, is that Ernie Banks?
That's Ernie Banks.
Okay.
And then the other guy took steroids, and then went to New York and played with Derek Jeter.
Oh, Alex Rodriguez. Oh,
so,
I see. I just think of him as a third baseman, but that's a good call. He was shortstop at the time.
A-Rod and Ernie Banks. So if he could be probably the worst shortstop defensively, but if he's hitting 40 homers, he's in Hall of Fame territory. And again, like Franmil Reyes had 40 homer pop. He got really skunked out because he couldn't play defense, and he couldn't. At one point, he just kind of became too heavy-handed when it comes to his strikeout rate. But if Colson's treading water at shortstop, I think the leash is longish for him. I mean, I think he's not moved out off shortstop until 2029. I think you see at least 3 full seasons from him at shortstop, because right now there's no real reason to move him off. Bondimer doesn't seem to be like a guy that you'd need to move Colson off. He could play second base. Like I think Carlson would be the guy that you would move him off, because Carlson brings you apparently next level defense at shortstop, where then you could maybe gracefully move Colson to first base, third base. I think he can even play a corner. I mean, he's a former basketball player. I know we, when in doubt, move a guy to a corner, but
yeah,
that's the kind of thing with your best athlete. When we saw it with Fernando Tatis, he moved to right field and became a natural. Like, I think you could probably make Colson work in left field if he does have 30 homer power.
Let me ask you this, though, and I don't disagree with that. What do you think would be best for his development? And I know you said 2029 is when, something like this could happen, but like, I
don't know if I said that.
You did say that.
Okay.
Yeah. You said you think he'd be
if he hit 40 homers, he'd be in Hall of Fame territory.
So what do you think is best for his development, though? Sticking at shortstop?
Yeah. Well, see what you have. Again, I mean, like if you're seeing this type of power from a shortstop, you have to see this through. And again, the only way that you move off of him is if you have a guarantee of value at that position. There's no guarantee that Bondimer's going to be good. Bondimer's a top 50 prospect, but Colson was once a top 10 prospect and then fell out of the top 100 completely. So Bondimer, it doesn't scream like better than Colson when you hit their ideals. If Colson's able to be a 40 homer, or not even 40, but just 30 homer guy at shortstop, I mean, you're talking about a player that likely on a free market value would get like over $200 million. I mean, Bo Bichette might get a really nice contract, and he was terrible like the past 2 years before this year. So I don't know. If what's best for Colson is sticking at shortstop, and I think what's best for the White Sox is shortstop, because if they have such a high offensive ceiling, their defensive ceiling can be low, and right now his defensive ceiling is nowhere near the basement. I mean, he's near the penthouse rather than the basement. So he gives you a ton of room and flexibility right now with how good his defense has been. I mean, if he played this out for an entire year, the 71 games you saw, he's like a 7-WAR player.
That's actually insane.
It's stupid. Like it's absurd. He had like a Rico Petrocelli year. It was utterly ridiculous what he did. I mean, he tied Roman Anthony, the #1 prospect in baseball, in games played, and I think he surpassed him in WAR. Like, you should be as excited as possible for Colson Montgomery, because there really right now isn't a hole in this game besides getting injured, which happened, in spring training this previous year, but ended up fine.
Can I take you back in time before our first break here? Yeah. So when Colson Montgomery was called up, you and I did an emergency podcast together, and I questioned, I'm like, all right, he's on a little bit of a very small sample size heater right now in the minors. Are they risking his confidence by calling him up now? It was kind of the way I posed the question to you. And you said, no, I mean, if they're going to do it, they should probably do it now. And, obviously the results are the results. They turned out great. And now here we are talking about, these damn near legendary power comps for Colson Montgomery. And we're talking about, the prospects of him moving forward, like in his career. Things have changed. in the most positive way. There was a point where I was questioning if he was ever going to reach his prospect star status, you know?
Right.
And now it's like, I remember him falling out of the top 100 prospect rankings and thinking, oh man, they might have whiffed. They took a swing and a miss on a high school prospect that didn't pan out. And now look at him.
I mean, it's utterly unbelievable because, again, he was once a top prospect, and it's like, oh, yeah, it's once there. But when you saw the fall from grace, it is hard to believe. And from what you've been able to gather from the tea leaves, it sounds like he was just kind of bored with AAA, and he just wanted to be a major leaguer. And now he's up at the major leagues, and he's a major leaguer. I mean, I don't know if I love it. You'd kind of want him to give his all and, kind of prove it. But also when your spring training companion, when the guy that you're trying to beat out for a position is Jacob Amaya, and you already know that you're better than Jacob Amaya, what is there to prove? You just don't want to hurt yourself and overexert yourself in AAA, because when you hurt yourself and overexert yourself, you lost the job in spring training. So, I mean, I'd rather look at the 71 games at the major league level than anything else, because everything else was making me sad and depressed. This makes me happy and joyful and looking towards the future. The Christmas season has arrived. We're going to take a break here on the CHGO White Sox podcast. Happy holidays. We got to let you know about some of our great sponsors, and then we'll be back to talk about the current state of the White Sox roster here on the CHGO White Sox podcast. We want to let you know about our friends over at Sunnyside Dispensary. Our friends at Sunnyside Dispensary are here to elevate your football season. Your Chicago team is 9-3, and they're going to take on the nasty Green Bay team on Sunday at 3:25. Sunnyside is your home for judgment-free shopping. They have a crazy selection with over 100 different strains to choose from, with easy online ordering and in-store pickup. Wherever you are in Illinois, Sunnyside has a location for you. They have spots as far south as Champaign and as far north as South Beloit. So stop into the store nearest you for expert guidance from their staff. And if you do want to walk in and get taken through the experience by their staff, they are experts. They'll be able to let you know what strains will and won't work for you, what types of imbibing will work for you. So head over to Sunnyside. They are fantastic people. Head to their website sunnyside.shop. It's not actually listed here. For Bright Buys every day, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Enter promo code HICHGO at checkout to qualify. For returning customers, use code CHGO50. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Dispensary, Bright Buys every day, only for 21 plus or Illinois medical card holders. We also want to let you know about our friends over at CHSN. We are, of course, going to show the Blackhawks lower, because we're not going to show the Bulls lower. I don't think they sent us a White Sox lower.
They did not.
Okay. So we're going to show the Blackhawks one, because Connor Bedard is what you need to be watching in Chicago right now. It is Blackhawks season on Chicago Sports Network. Visit chsn.com/podcast to sign up for your 7-day free trial of the All Access plan, which gives you over 300 live games per year. That's chsn.com/podcast for your 7-day free trial of the All Access plan. Catch every basket, every goal, every homer from your mobile device, television, or wherever you want to watch. CHSN is your home for the Blackhawks, Bulls all season long. And there's another team I'm pretty sure that's streamed on them. When they're in season, they are the home for the Chicago White Sox. Chicago Sports Network, your home stream advantage. CHSN is also available on Xfinity, DirecTV Stream, and Fubo. Visit chsn.com for more details. Again, chsn.com/podcast to sign up for your 7-day free trial of the All Access plan. Back here on the CHGO White Sox podcast. Shout out to my Uncle Jeff in Pennsylvania. Thank you, Uncle Jeff. The Sox spent money yesterday on Anthony Kay. Did you mix out on it, Uncle Jeff? We had a podcast yesterday. They spent $12 million. I'll never see $12 million in my life. It's fantastic. Hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you're subscribing to the CHGO Sports YouTube channel. And our guy Goop in the chat saying Sean Anderson calls Coulson a Hall of Famer. Headline is hilarious. So
I did that.
You're getting some love here in the chat. People are excited to have Steven back. All right, we got to take the temperature with our friends over at Four Seasons. For all the right reasons, call 866-4Seasons, fourseasonsheatingcooling.com. Four Seasons Heating, Cooling, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric are your local experts. Visit fourseasonsheatingcooling.com for all their special offers and money-saving coupons. That's fourseasonsheatingcooling.com. Let's take the temperature and update Uncle Jeff in PA. he's missed out. The White Sox have made a move. The roster started to shake out a little bit. Anthony Kay is the new starter that has been added to the rotation. I think along with Kay, you can expect Burke, Martin, and Shane Smith to be a part of the White Sox rotation. Steven, I think there's a graph on the desktop if you want to pop it in. If it's Burke, if not, don't worry about it. I'll just want to kind of emphasize the Burke thing. Yeah, it's right there. So Burke got sent down on August 16th, came back on September 10th. The numbers weren't great in AAA, but I think part of it was just keeping his arm fresh and not overexerting him. He reached a career high, and this is really why I think this player is going to be in the rotation. Cannon, I know, is an option for sure. Maybe he wins out that 5th spot. Maybe they sign somebody else. We'll talk about that later in the show. But Shane Smith, with his all-star appearance, he's going to be the opening day starter. Davis Martin consistently gave them 6 innings pretty much every single time he went out there. Not a great starter, but very, very adequate, around a 4.10 ERA. Martin, I think, has earned himself a spot in the rotation. Burke was the opening day starter last year, and when you look at this graph from @TJ Stats, I think Burke really shows himself as somebody with too much potential to deny. He's only 25. The frame is absurd, 6'6", 240. What sticks out on that lower half is the extension, over 7 feet of extension for Burke. So that 95.9 mile per hour fastball plays higher because he's able to get closer to the batter. There's just less of a gap between the 60 feet 6 inches when you're able to extend 7 feet out. So that 96 mile per hour fastball looks more like 98, 99. And there's a lot of pitches there that you can really get tantalized by. The grade on the right-hand side, lower right side, you could see that the four-seam fastball has a 64 grade. The max on that is at 80. The curveball grade is a 60. The changeup grade's a 65. The slider's a 62. He allows a ton of hard contact. That's what the far right corner is, the expected weighted on base average contact slot. You can see all the blue on that far right. But what this shows you at least is major league stuff from a major league frame. The results haven't been major league yet, but I do think that the potential, at least for the White Sox, especially 3 straight years, losing 100 games, Burke will be in the rotation. Cannon hadn't proven himself enough. Where Cannon came back at the end of the year last year, he looked like the Cannon that they sent down, where Burke showed a little bit more life, and I think you could chalk up some of the struggles that he had near the end of the year to just overexertion, never really hitting that point of 130 plus innings, and they're not trying to burn him in his first year as a starter. So I think that was part of the Shane Burke calculus. So if we're looking at the rotation, there is a spot open. We'll talk about how they could possibly fill that later. You look in the bullpen, Vassell, I think, has a spot for sure in the bullpen. Leisure for sure has a spot in the bullpen. Taylor for sure has a spot in the bullpen. So 3 of those spots filled out. There's 5 more left. Duncan Davitt could be a name that we could see. They protected him from the Rule 5 draft. He was acquired in the Adrian Hauser trade. I could see Davitt being a part of this bullpen mainly because he provides length. They'll need length for guys that might not be so consistent with being able to give you length that a starter wants, right? Sean Burke showed that, hey, he can have a 6-inning, 10-strikeout game. He also showed you consistently that he can have a 3-inning outing where he's throwing 70 pitches and he needs to be relieved. That's where maybe a Duncan Davitt, who can give you 3 innings out of the pen, could come in. Tanner McDougal, I think, could possibly be that 5th starter on opening day, but if not, maybe they want to try him in the bullpen. He's on the 40-man roster. Maybe they work him in a little bit more. I think it's possible that McDougal could be a part of either the rotation or the bullpen. But then there's the Rule 5 draft. We're going to have a preview show tomorrow with Thomas Stico, who we show @TJ Stats, all of his graphs. We had like a 20-minute talk with him about Rule 5 picks. I think one of the pitchers will be filled out by that. But I feel like they're going to try to take some shot on a guy that could flip as a starter. I don't think they're taking a guy just strictly as a reliever, especially with the 2nd overall pick in that Rule 5 draft. So they have 5 more reliever spots to fill out. They have 1 more starting pitcher spot to fill out. We even talked with Bezik Zakiri of Sox on Tap yesterday about how I think the Sox are going to rely on their bullpen a ton for innings. He mentioned specifically that that rotation and that pitching staff last year really got to the end of the year on duct tape. And I think that they know that, and it's maybe less about having a ton of swing and miss stuff because you're not really in the position to win games. You're really just more trying to not make mistakes and just have the freshest guy out there. So maybe they're not looking for high-end, high-leverage guys because you do have Taylor for that. Vassell showed himself to have some worth in those high-leverage situations, but how many high-leverage situations are you going to be in if you're a team that's going to be winning around 72-ish games or so, if you go 72 and 90. So that's at least where the state of the pitching is. With Smith, Martin, Burke, Kay, Vassell, Leisure, Taylor, Baldwin, Sosa, Teal, Robert, Benintendi, Vargas, Montgomery, Mydroth, and Caro on the roster. That is $58.7 million. Again, 6 more pitchers need to be added, and then through 4 more batters. So I think if you're expecting a payroll around $80 million, there's probably about $20 more million to spend on 10 players. Doesn't sound like a lot, but a lot of those guys make the minimum. Like if you're going to, put in let's say Corey Lee's making around $800K. That's one of those players that's making under $1 million. So we'll figure that out. And I think obviously, some of those relievers will be making the minimum as well. All right. So what's next? They signed Anthony Kay at $12 million guaranteed for 2 years, $6 million AAV. Uncle Jeff in Pennsylvania is wondering where the White Sox are going to spend their money. I have brought up Josh Bell as a first base option. Streamer likes him at least for WAR predictions in 2026. When you look at infielders, I think that he likely is the best option. I don't know if other teams are going to be interested in him or not, but he's going to bring you pop. He could be a sellable piece too at the trade deadline, but he's projected for 2026 by Zips, I believe. This is on the free agent tracker over at Fangraphs, to put up 1.2 WAR. The median AAV for Josh Bell is $5 million. That seems extremely valuable. If they want to go up to even 7, I think that's an extremely worthwhile deal. 1.2 WAR is typically worth around like $12 million. So, I mean, if they're signing him for $5 million, that's a steal. $7 million, that's a steal. You still got like $5 million worth of like room there before he, doesn't create or recoup that value. So Bell is a guy that I've brought up before on the podcast. Ryan O'Hearn has been brought up before. The median year AAV is 2 years, $24 million. So a 12-year AAV for O'Hearn. It seems a little bit too expensive. And I know that there's some interest that he could possibly play left field. Can't play right field, and that's really what the position the Sox need to cover. They have Benintendi for left field. I know that doesn't sound exciting, but he's unfortunately on the team. There's no getting rid of him unless Justin Ishbia wants to drop a bag for Christmas and be the new Santa Claus and get rid of Andrew Benintendi. But it doesn't seem, for me at least, to make sense for them to chase O'Hearn. But looking at this free agent tracker, they need somebody to cover third base. Mydroth, I don't know, is the guy at second base. Colson also doesn't have the greatest track record when it comes to injury health. Knock on wood, but he was supposed to be the opening day shortstop in 2025 and lost the job to Jacob Amaya because after 3 preseason games, he was gone for 3 weeks because of his back. And that's why he was dropped off top 100 list, was because Keith Law was worried about his back. This is why I think Ramón Urías will be a decent signing for the White Sox. He's 32, former Baltimore Oriole, former Houston Astro. Last year put up 1.1 F4 with the Houston Astros. There is no projection for his salary, and he was non-tendered by the Astros. But I think he fits that Josh Rojas sort of mold that they looked for last year, a guy that could play second base, a guy that could play third base, a guy that could play shortstop. I know Rojas had some outfield ability, so he's not as movable as Rojas was, but that's why Brooks Baldwin is here. I think Brooks Baldwin's going to be mainly your Uncle Jeff. No. Brooks Baldwin's going to be mainly your like utility outfielder. And Urías, although he had a career worse weighted runs created plus in 2025, 87 weighted runs created plus. 2024, career high in 100 games, 114. In 85 games in 2021, he had a 115, so maybe matching career high. But a career 104 weighted runs created plus above average. So the 87 weighted runs created plus doesn't really concern me too much. It wasn't a career high in K rate. The walk rate wasn't a career low. So I think that there is some room to wiggle there. And you look at the 1.1 F where it's mainly coming from his ability defensively. So it's mainly a guy that you want in a defensive position. You can put him at second base. You can put him at third base. You can put him at shortstop. He's not the best shortstop, but the idea at best is to have Colson there. Also, Chase proved that he could play a decent shortstop if Colson's not able to be there. Urías can then just take over at second base. Urías is pretty decent at second and third base. Vargas isn't for sure slotted over at third base. So if they don't feel comfortable with Vargas at first base or third base, they can move Vargas over to first base and have Urías be their third baseman. I just think it makes a lot of sense with his floor being defense. I'm going to bring you solid defensive value, and then maybe, just maybe, if everything goes right, we have some damage stats to show in just a second, maybe he's able to provide some offensive pop.
I like the defensive flexibility there. He hasn't played shortstop since 2022, so that kind of maybe raises a red flag for me, but I like he's played first, second, and third here just last season. I look at this White Sox team, though, and this is something he doesn't offer that much of, which is power. Mm-hmm. I know you're not really expecting that from a guy his size, his position, more of like that utility type role where he could play all those positions. But I look at his career high in homers. I only see 16. I see 11 last year. I mean, I'm just kind of left wanting more. I mean, if I had to point to one of the biggest White Sox issues last year, it was home runs. I mean, they were 23rd in the MLB, 165 homers. I need to see more of that. If not from Urías, is there even a guy out there that in the bargain bin that would fit for the White Sox? I know you brought up Josh Bell.
Well, that's why I thought Bell. I mean, I would pair Bell with Urías. Signing Bell doesn't mean you can't sign Urías because Urías is mainly playing second and third, the opposite side of Bell. And two, Urías, for having that much value defensively, you'll take 11 homers. I mean, we saw Vinny Capra be like their defensive guy. He couldn't hit the ball. So that's the thing with Urías is I do wonder how good he is defensively. Ryan brings up Biggio as a non-roster invite. He sucks. Kevin Biggio is real bad at hitting, where if you want to flash the damage stats, and this is from not that Robert or over at Baseball Perspectives, you could see the damage per batted ball event. In 2023, it was middle of the road. The 48 means percentile, so 50th percentile is average. He's at 48th percentile in 2023. He's at 58th percentile, 67th percentile, and then this year, 2024 he was at 58, and then between Baltimore and Houston, 67th percentile and 78th percentile. That's a ton of pop from a defense first guy. You look at the 90th percentile exit velocity. He's not a guy that consistently has high exit velocities, but still it's not a waning stat. You could see in 2023 it was at 46th percentile. It dipped there in 36 in 2024 and a little bit with Baltimore in 2025, but he was able to see a little bit of a resurgence there with Houston in 2025, nearly at a 90th percentile exit velocity. The max EV starting to go down a little bit, and maybe that's where the concern is, going from 46, 51 percentile to 40 to 36. Maybe that's the 32-year-old showing himself, but I think this is a one-year deal. And you talk about the pop, you see a change there from him where he's starting to sell out for pulled fly balls, which that's what you want to do. Ramón Urías is not going to go deep in a 400-foot park, especially with Houston. He's going to get really rewarded with the Crawford boxes. So that's why you specifically see that pull. And then also Baltimore was one of the worst for right-handed hitters because there was that deep adjustment that they made for Aaron Judge and then readjusted it back. So that's why you kind of see him maybe go away from pulling the fly ball in Baltimore. I think it's a guy that, especially with the Seager stuff, he's a former Ryan Fuller guy. I think Ramón Urías can make sense because they don't really have... They have Brooks Baldwin, who could be a utility player, but I don't know if they have another guy. This could be a guy that is flexible around the diamond defensively, and I think that there's some offensive power to be tapped into.
Okay, I need one more selling point from you. You got to sell me right here. What's the contract look like?
Oh, I mean, if they're not crowdsourcing a deal, he's getting non-tendered. I mean, I'm assuming it's like $5 million. probably even less.
So we're comfortably in the bargain bin then.
Oh yeah. I mean, this is not a.
You could talk me into it.
This is not a. I don't think he's going to get signed for like $10 million or anything. Like I.
So 1 year, $5 million.
Yeah. And maybe they do something weird where it's like the Martin Perez thing, where it's like 5 years for 2026, and then it's a buyout for next year, where we're not actually paying you. We're mainly just giving you $3.5 million next year to not play for us. It could be some machination of that, but no, I'm not saying break the bank for Ramón Urías. We don't need to do that.
I know. I just wanted to make sure it fit comfortably inside of Jerry's spending. Yeah,
we're comfortable. Don't worry. I think we have to take a break. All right, let's take a break. We'll answer the Fat Hipsters question in a second. I guess I'll bring up Ryan's question about Benny as well. If you have any more thoughts, let us know in the chat. We'll take a break here on the CHGO White Sox podcast. We want to let you know about our friends over at Four Seasons. We just took the temperature with our friends over at Four Seasons. We talked about it yesterday on the show. Over here in Studio West, it's freezing. We need to call Four Seasons.
I'm wearing a winter coat.
Yeah. Winter will be here before you know it, Steven.
It's here.
You're wearing a winter coat at work. Is your home's heating up for the challenge? Is your office's heating up for the challenge? Got a plumbing emergency? Call Four Seasons. An electrical emergency? Call Four Seasons. If you need a new hot water tank installed today, call Four Seasons. Now is the time to schedule your Four Seasons furnace tune-up. Check out our friends over at Four Seasons. Four Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric have been serving Chicagoland for over 50 years. And at Four Seasons, they guarantee same-day installation for all your heating, cooling, plumbing, electrical, and generator needs with no extra charges for nights, weekends, or holidays. Furnaces start at $39 a month and furnace AC combos for $57 a month. Your trusted local experts are Four Seasons Heating, Cooling, Four Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric. Visit fourseasonsheatingcooling.com for all their special offers and money-saving coupons. That's fourseasonsheatingcooling.com. We also want to let you know about our friends over at Brunt Workwear, the most comfortable and durable boots out there. It is the Christmas season, and if you have a hardworking man in your life that needs a kind of a lifetime gift, a loving gift, a gift that shows you that you care, give them Brunt Workwear. Eric Gerard and his team have created Brunt Workwear. Eric named all of the workwear after his friends in the trade and kept telling his big brains, and his friends kept telling him that the big brains stopped listening to him and that they haven't changed for over 100 years. They sold out to become fashion brands. His buddy encouraged him to start a brand built for them, and that's why all Brunt products are named after the guys he grew up with, real hardworking tradesmen. Brunt is not just work boots. They're not just there to get the job done. They are comfortable. When you are working in a high, tough environment, it sometimes means sacrificing comfortability over durability. Brunt thought that was BS, so they built tough boots that feel great from day one. There's no break-in, no sore feet, because people out there doing the real work shouldn't have to choose between comfort and durability. And with the temps dropping and holidays coming up, it is time to treat yourself or the hardworking man in your life to real comfort. Skip the throwaway gifts and get him something built to last. Brunt Workwear. Our listeners get $10 off their entire order with code CHGO checkout. That's bruntworkwear.com. Use code CHGO at checkout. Order today and let them know you heard it here on our show. Back here on the CHGO White Sox podcast, we got about 6 minutes left before we wrap up.
6.5.
6.5 before we wrap up. So if you have any thoughts, let us know. As Ryan has brought up, hit that thumbs up button as well. Fat Hipster saying Castellanos. I don't. We already have a terrible left field / DH hitter that is aging pretty horrifically before our eyes. I don't need to see pretty much the left-handed or the right-handed version of Andrew Benintendi. I like Castellanos, and maybe for like a different team, like the Mariners. Like I think he'd be maybe good with the Mariners. I think he has to be on some contender. I don't think that Castellanos at this age, if he hits a slow slump, if he's really going to be like, oh, got to pick it up for the young guys because we're in a contending team. Like if they're losing 100 games, I feel like Castellanos might get kind of caught in the ick of it. So I don't die for Castellanos. Did you have a thought?
I mean, for me, look at what the Blackhawks do. I know this is a Sox show, but they have a bunch of young guys, and then they have just a couple veteran players to just kind of guide them along the way. I don't think the White Sox need a Castellanos at this point of his career.
Right.
Let's just stick with the youth movement right now and let the guys develop.
Well, and they got Teuvo Teravainen, right? The reunion there. So I was thinking Quintana.
Teuvo, they got Nick Foligno.
Oh, yeah, true. But no, Teuvo being the reunion.
I see.
Quintana was my guy that I was trying to peg into there. But yeah, I don't think that's gonna end up happening after the K signing. But yeah, Castellanos. And then Ryan brings up Benny at first base, an unrealistic option. He's never played there before. He's tiny. You brought this up. You saw him in person. He's smaller than me. Steven said yes off camera. He's typing.
Yes. He was smaller than me. I think I would beat him in a push-up contest. I said it.
Okay.
I said it. Yeah. He's I was surprised with his power output. I'll say that.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I was surprised with his power output too. I lost money to Herb after he hit 10 homers, and then he got up to 20 too. So no, yeah, I lost some money on his power output, but I don't see that change happening. And I'd be for it if they say, hey, we're going to put Andrew Benintendi at first base. Good luck. You got to find some value out of him somewhere. If he's able to be a positive defender, like maybe he could become worthwhile, but he just doesn't walk enough. He doesn't hit for contact enough. The power is nice, but the power also isn't like elite.
I don't even know if it's repeatable.
He did it back-to-back years. For back-to-back years, he's hit like near 20 homers. I forget where he ended up finishing.
I was trying to come up with like a White Sox first base comp for like, kind of smaller first baseman that putting up some decent. Best I could come up with was Ross Glode in my head.
Ross Glode,
who also played some outfield, I believe, right?
He played some outfield, a little bit younger.
Yeah, you didn't think you'd get a Ross Glode mention on today's show. This is why you have to tune in every day.
Well, Fat Hipster gave us $20, and we now have to name 50 random White Sox. So I think Ross Glode's the first one.
Make it 49.
There you go. And 50 also felt light. I think we have to put rules on that one. We have to stay away from Frank Thomas. Like Frank Thomas is not a random.
You got to
get
Sox. Very random ones.
Yeah, Paul Konerko is not a random White Sox. So I have to set some guidelines. Yeah, but Benny in the past 2 years, 20 homers, tying a career high from 2017. 20 homers in 2017, 20 homers in 2024, 20 homers in 2025. But even then, the OPS plus 94 and 104. There's just not enough pop. The 431 slugging is nice, but again, he's a left fielder. It's okay for a left fielder. Can he play first base and provide that pop? Also, after 2023, where he played 151 games, 135, then 116, can he even stay healthy? Like, this is a bad contract, but I don't have to get into that. All right, we're going to wrap it up here on the CHGO White Sox podcast. I got one final guy I want to bring up, and it is Anthony DeSclafani. There's a former connection here with Brian Bannister. DeSclafani is a former Giant, but you talked about bargain bin shopping here, Steven. I think I sent you the graph in Slack. I'm sorry. Do we have that one?
I could get it.
Yeah, you're all good. DeSclafani, though, a little bit of a reclamation project. I don't know if this is a guy that I'm like, yes, they need, but that's also kind of the guy that they might sign. The Sox have a ton of guys that could possibly be their fifth starter. Cannon is one of them. Thorpe's coming back off of Tommy John. I don't know if he'll be ready for opening day necessarily. Uriarte seems like more of a bullpen piece, but maybe they could try him out as a starter. You have Davitt. You have Tanner McDougal. There's another name that I'm forgetting there. Guess Kai Bush is coming off of Tommy John. I don't love Kai Bush, but Kai Bush, I guess, is technically coming off of Tommy John. There's a decent amount, so that's why I don't think they're going to spend another $5 or $6 million like they did right now just on K to sign a guy. I think it might be more closer to a DeSclafani. DeSclafani missed all of 2024. In 2023, he had a 4.88 ERA and 99 2/3 innings pitched. And then in 2025, he had 38 2/3 innings pitched, 5.12 ERA with the Arizona Diamondbacks. But decent numbers. 8.4 K per nine compared to 2.8 walk per nine. Just don't look at the homer per nine, as he gave up 2.6 per nine, 11 homers and 38.2 innings pitched. Not good. But yeah, DeSclafani, he's interesting. He just formerly worked with Bannister, so I just wonder if this is a bargain bin signing that they maybe try to get themselves over the edge with. He's not, breaking any graphs with any of the stats. The extension's fine. It's about average. The stuff on the slider, is 104, a little bit above average. The stuff on the knuckle curve's a little bit above average, but the fact that he throws 3 pitches, slider, knuckle curve, and splitter, all over 20%, and you don't see a fastball over 20% is a little bit concerning. This guy gives up a ton of homers, and typically those breakers go far. Those breakers went far. So I think that there's some ways you could talk yourself into it. There's some ways you could talk yourself out of it. But at the end of the day, can he give you maybe a month to get to Drew Thorpe's return? I could see DeScalfani. I could also see them running with Jonathan Cannon. But that is going to do it for the CHGO White Sox podcast. Are you so glad that you made that graph there, Steven?
Yeah, it was up for a good 40-ish seconds, maybe. Yeah,
come on, that was good airtime for Anthony DeScalfani.
What people behind the scenes don't know is the Wi-Fi on this side of the building is much worse, so that took forever to send.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Wonderful. Glad that that's the case. What we're going to do tomorrow is a pre-recorded show. I don't know what time that's going to be. I think it's 4:30 because that's typically when our show has been out. But we will have a pre-recorded show tomorrow where I preview the Rule 5 draft that's coming up at the winter meetings. 2 p.m. 2 p.m. is going to be tomorrow's show. And I have Thomas Stico joining us. And I feel like I'm really in my head about how to say his last name. I said it right when I interviewed him. But at TJ Stats will be joining us tomorrow to talk Rule 5. So we're excited to have you hear that conversation. I'll give you some of my favorites and my prediction on who the Sox will take 1-2 in the 2025 Rule 5 draft. For Stephen Nicholas, Mr. Baseball, Mr. Hockey, Mr. Football, I'm Sean Anderson. We will see you tomorrow at 2 p.m. Good. Bye.
We all silly like the mayor.